Hey everybody, JJ here. BX4. It is Tuesday, June 2nd. So apparently the markets love looting and rioting. We have all major indexes in the green today, with the Dow Jones leading the way, over 1% gain today in the Dow, bringing it to 25,740. Today also saw oil get bid up higher, approaching $37 a barrel. Gold took a bit of a drop there, down to 1733. Also, silver took a bit of a drop today, down around the $18 range on the spot price. Now, we have some other news that we want to get into today regarding automobile loans and Wells Fargo. Also, a pretty bad disaster happening with the unemployment checks. It looks like the government may not be the best entity to depend on in order to make a living. Now, a lot of people, of course, are involuntarily unemployed and not working, but there are people out there that want the government to help everybody, to give everybody handouts and get everybody dependent on the government. Now, as we know, with the manipulated market, the market makers, they're always going to look for a reason, even the lamest excuse, to try to justify prices rising. So even though we've got unemployment worse than the Great Depression, thousands of businesses that are being looted and rampaged, and think about all the businesses that weren't going to open up even before this, and now you add this on top of the shutdown problem, where we had a lot of businesses that were not able to survive, and now many of them that might have survived, they're getting looted and rampaged. And I hope they have good insurance with a low deductible, because some of this damage is going to cost in the tens of thousands of dollars for these businesses. Total, you're probably talking about millions of dollars worth of damage. We'll have to see when the final numbers come out, but it's not looking too pretty right now for businesses in general. Now, of course, bad news is good news. What was floated out, though, as the reason for stocks going up was the hope of the reopening. Now, I'm just wondering how far they're going to take it. Is every major city going to be on fire, and yet they're still going to push the stock market up, saying there's hope that the fires are going down, the fires are getting smaller, right? No matter how bad the picture is, there's always going to be some hope. There's hope that let's see, less people are getting sick now, so the stock market's going higher. I'm thinking that maybe after all this, they're going to start saying that the sicknesses are increasing again because of all the people that are together out walking the streets, and all of the protests and all the events that are happening right now. But we'll have to see. For those of you that think it's a good idea for the government to give out UBI, well, sounds good in theory, but will they send you the checks? 1/3 of all America's unemployment payout hasn't arrived. So the government, if you haven't noticed, is not the best entity. Let's call it an entity. Right? Being dependent on this government is probably not the best idea. They can't even send out unemployment checks. Now, I've also been hearing about people that did never receive their stimulus checks, even people that filed tax returns in the past couple years. And if you recall, there was a big problem for a lot of people even signing up for unemployment. There was websites going down, outages, a huge backlog on the phones and in the physical lines, waiting. But sadly, even the ones that did get through and get signed up, many of them are not receiving their check. What's going on here? Right? Just imagine now, with all of the additional businesses that are damaged, on top of all the other carnage that we have witnessed here recently in the retail sector. So we're likely going to see even worse job numbers. The unemployment disaster could very likely get much worse from here. And even Wells Fargo is quite concerned. They're so worried about defaults, they're actually not making any more loans to most independent car dealerships. A spokeswoman from Wells Fargo said the bank, which only makes auto loans to independent car dealers, will no longer accept loan applications from most independent shops. Independent dealerships, typically those are selling used cars, and they're not like the franchise dealerships that sell the new cars. Now, that could be another issue, because a lot of these independent dealerships, those are the ones that use the subprime loans with the ultra high interest rates. Now, with Wells Fargo limiting their risk here, will it be very easy for these people to get loans on used cars? And the way the economy is going, I think a lot more people are going to start going for used cars versus new cars for obvious reasons. Even before this recent 6 months of disaster that we've seen here in 2020, most people were living paycheck to paycheck. And now it's worse than living paycheck to paycheck. Now it's living government check to government check. For 40 million new unemployment filings, probably 55 million if you look at the real numbers. So yeah, there you go. Wells Fargo, they are being very cautious here. Now what I think we should do is think about what's happening right now with all the recent events and the carnage that we're seeing. What's going to happen when the banking system no longer functions, when they decide to stop helping everybody? And of course, they're not going to take the blame. They'll blame it on maybe an event. Maybe they'll say that there was a hack and all the money got wiped out from all these retirement accounts, from the checking accounts, from the CDs. So you wake up one day, sorry, all the money's gone. I mean, would it really surprise you with all the events we're seeing so far? And they could say, well, it got hacked. We don't know who did it. We're still investigating. In the meantime, everyone's digital savings, digital currency is gone out into the stratosphere somewhere. All right, that's why I always like to stress, have hard assets, have something of value that's out of the digital fiat banking system. That's what I'm doing. I don't give investment advice, but look at everything that's happening. Would it really surprise you if all of a sudden we wake up one day and see a bank failure? Not just a bank failure, but a complete drainage of the financial system. And of course, they're going to blame it on somebody else, or there'll be another surprise event that pops up. That way everybody's distracted, and they'll be pointing the finger maybe at some other entity, maybe some other country. Maybe they'll blame, who knows, China. We'll have to see. But one bright spot here in this whole shutdown economy is this Zoom stock right here. Now, I thought about this as the shutdown was happening, but of course I didn't know how long and how severe this was going to be. But this stock went from about $60 here at the beginning of 2020, tripled up to over $208 here recently. Now, I wouldn't be buying it here. I think it might actually be a good time to short this stock. But if you got in on this stock early, this would have been a triple bagger right here, up over 200%. Now, it's very difficult to know which stocks are going to run up like this unless you're, of course, an insider, right? Maybe you're part of Congress or the Senate. That way you can get the inside information first. You can get in on these stock trades. Or maybe you could have shorted the market before the shutdown and you could have made a hefty loot by front-running the events that you know are going to be coming. And if I remember a headline from a few days ago, those traders did not get charged that were trading or shorting the market before the pandemic. Isn't it interesting that being in the government all of a sudden makes you a excellent stock trader, right? Also, something to think about with all of these business closures and layoffs and unemployment, it's more than just the actual job losses. What about all the people that depended on their business for health insurance coverage? Right, so now you're going to have that many more uninsured people, and it's unlikely that the cost of medical is going to go down. Really, the cost of medical should go down based on supply and demand. When people can't afford something, the demand should naturally drop, and therefore prices should drop to be in correlation with that decline in demand. But that's not what's happening because there's so many people out there that have health insurance. It still allows the health insurance company to continue to raise premiums, even though you're going to have half the population or probably most of the population that can't afford health insurance. So this is what you get out of an economy that's completely manipulated, completely overrun by government overreach, completely a non-free market. And I mentioned it before, there's not much you can do in today's world without the government being involved. So expect this socialistic experiment and the endless bailouts to keep going, and I just hope you protect yourself. I hope you're doing well here at this time. I'm going to wrap this up. Thank you for watching this report today. Please come back for more if you like what we talk about. I'd like to hear from you down in comments on this. What do you think about Wells Fargo pulling back from the car dealership loans? Is it that Wells Fargo sees the writing on the wall and they know that there's going to be a lot of people not paying back their car loans? or more like they see graffiti on the wall. Interesting, insane times, dangerous times, and I think we should be prepared because things could continue to get a lot worse. What's the next thing that's going to happen? Your guess is as good as mine. Let me know down in the comments. I'd like to hear from you. Thanks for watching this update. Bye for now, everybody.